Hi, I'm Emma Breezy. Welcome to ABC World News. David Muir couldn't be here tonight, so I'm filling in for him. Today we have a special guest, JoJo Johnson, who's an expert on malnutrition in third world countries. JoJo, how are you doing tonight? I'm doing great, Emma, and you? Great, thanks for asking. So, tell us, what exactly is malnutrition? Malnutrition is lack of nutrition due to not eating enough of the right things or by not having enough to eat. So I understand you study malnutrition in third world countries. If you had to pick one, which country would you say is most impacted by malnutrition? It's hard to say just one country, but one that comes to mind would have to be Ethiopia. Why do you say Ethiopia? Ethiopia is one of the poorest countries in the world, with their GDP per capita being 404 US dollars. Compare that to the US, who has over $57,000 GDP per capita. Wow, it's hard to argue with numbers like that. Exactly. In Ethiopia, 2.7 million people suffer from malnutrition, with a 28% mortality rate. What exactly contributes to that amount of people being malnourished? Ethiopia's economy is largely based off agriculture, so when they're plagued by droughts, it hits them hard. They don't have the money or resources to keep their citizens nourished. And how does that compare to here in the States? In the U.S., 8.5 million Americans suffer from hunger on a daily basis, with 1 in 3 children having to rely on the food stamp program. That's a surprising statistic to hear, especially since America is known for having high obesity rates. Right now, 36.5% of adults in the U.S. have obesity, and that number is rising every year. It's crazy. In America, we have two opposite ends of the spectrum, malnourishment and obesity. It's also odd to hear the stark differences between us and Ethiopia. There are lots of differences between us and Ethiopia, but when it comes to having part of the population struggle to get the nutrients they need, we're similar. We just get so caught up in our own lives that we don't even think about how much other countries are struggling. You're right, but efforts are being made in both countries to decrease malnutrition. In Ethiopia, many of their programs are aimed towards women and children. The National Nutrition Plan for Ethiopia especially is geared towards women at reproductive age. An estimated $5.5 million is spent by their government every year to help feed small children. And what programs do we have in the U.S.? Feeding America is the nation's largest hunger relief domestic organization. They provide 4 billion meals through food banks and other programs. That's great that action is being taken to combat this global issue. Well, thank you for coming, JoJo. Thank you for having me. When we come back from commercial, Ken Bryan will be reporting live from the American Rescue Dog Show.